The outcome of the recent governorship primaries in the major political parties, namely governing All Progressive Grand Alliance APGA, All Progressive Congress APC, and the People's Democratic Party PDP, waves the triumphant flag for Anambra South senatorial on the zoning score, despite the fact of internal partisan disputations about their emergence. All the six candidates but one that won on the three parties, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, Honorable Chukwuma Umweji, APGA, Senator Andy Uba, APC, Senator Ugochukwu Uba, and Valentine Oziogbo, PDP, are from communities in Anambra South Senatorial District. The third APGA standard bearer, Chief Edozie Njoku, who contested on the basis of his Onitsha North-South Federal Constituency, seems to be holding ground for Prince Nicholas Nwachukwu or Soludo, depending on the judicial resolution of the leadership contest between his faction and that of Ozonkbu Victor Oye over who is the authentic chairman of APGA. Based on the realities on the ground, new thinking has entered into the calculations on the November 6th governorship poll in the state. The unfolding arguments border on which part of Anambra South should be supported to produce Governor Willie Obiano's successor. Bookmakers are currently hedging a bet that the emergence of multiple candidates from the old Aguta Union OAU is evidence of the triumph of zoning calibration in Anambra State. Yet the same zoning sentiment is currently rolling Anambra South as the governorship election draws nearer. Prior to the governorship primaries on the various parties, the attempt by some business billionaire mogul in the state to moderate the choice of a consensus aspirant ran into a brick wall following the insistence of the Ihiala Bloc to produce the next governor of the state. Within PDP, the powers that be pooled resources together, including tactical maneuvers to ensure that two prominent aspirants from Anambra Central, particularly Dr. Obiora Okonkwo, did not take advantage of the huge number of aspirants from the south to coast home to victory. APGA and APC did not shy away from their belief in zoning, a development which guaranteed that virtually all aspirants that purchased the expression of interest and nomination forms were from the southern senatorial district. Barring last-minute substitution and court pronouncement, the following are the tentative contenders for the November 6th governorship poll. Professor Chukwuma Soludo, Honorable Chukwuma Umweji, APGA, Senator Andy Uba, APC, Senator Ugochukwu Uba, Valentine Oziogbo, PDP, Senator Ifeanyi Uba, Young Progressive Party, YPP, and Eze Akachukwu Nwakpo of African Democratic Congress, ADC. Senator Ifeanyi Patrick Uba, the YPP candidate, is the first aspirant to emerge as candidate for the Anambra governorship poll, being that he stood unopposed in the party, which he also emerged during the 2019 National Assembly election as the only victorious candidate of the party. Uba, who is an oil magnate and owner of Capital Oil, before he veered into elective office, hails from Inewe, one of the three blocks that make up the Anambra South Senatorial District. Although Uba and his YPP are limited by the perceived poor spread in the state, the senator runs on the contention that no Inewi son or daughter has ever governed Anambra State since its creation. However, despite the veracity of that claim, stakeholders from other blocks argue that Dame Vigi Etabia, who held sway as the first female state governor during the aborted impeachment of Mr. Peter Obi, hails from Inewe. Etabia's brief stint apart, some Inewe billionaires distanced themselves from Uba's governorship efforts on the ground that YPP candidate did not involve them or the community in his aspiration, adding that he is but a one-man show governorship race. Also during stakeholders' consideration of Uba and Honorable Chris Oziobogu's governorship ambition, some Inewe stakeholders grumbled that Uba ought to serve out his senatorial term instead of running as a possible spoiler to other sons and daughters that were running on the main parties. Nonetheless, with the trouble in the big platform, Uba believes that he would reenact the same magic that saw him winning the senatorial seat after Governor Obiano and APGA chieftains reneged on the promise to gift him the party's ticket for the 2019 National Assembly poll. Away from the Uba and Nnewi challenge, the emergence of Nze Akachukwu Nwakpo, a former special assistant to former President Goodluck Jonathan on technical matters, as the gubernatorial arrowhead of ADC is currently dominating political discourse in Anambra State. Much like APGA, the ADC, which national chairman Chief Rafs Oke Nwonsu hails from Oka in Anambra Central Senatorial District, has always been as a feasible platform that was left in the launch due to the power of incumbency of APGA governors. Nwonsu, one of the founding fathers of APGA, parted ways with Chief Chekwas Okore in 2002. That was shortly after the party's registration when Okore insisted on Peter Obi, who had just crossed over from PDP, to fly the APGA flag on the consideration that Obi had the financial war chest to prosecute the governorship pool on the platform of the then inchoate APGA. The ADC national chairman recently used the occasion of a courtesy to visit on him at his country home by the ADC standard bearer Nwakpo to remind Anambra electorate of the systemic murder of internal democracy in APGA, assuring that situations and circumstances in the state have positioned ADC to win the November 6 poll. Nwonsu must have alluded to the expected contents, whereas many as 3 candidates are sure to be on the ballot for the governorship election, while Nwakpo's emergence seems to be causing many ripples in the state, in that the Ihiala Bloc would have less serious candidates than OAU. Whether Soludo or Umejo runs in APGA, Uba from Agu would be on APC, and Oziogbo from Amesi, or Senator Uba from Uga. These Aguta gladiators are sure to split the ballot of OAU voters, leaving the Ihiala vote hall for the ADC Nwakpo. Regarding the religious flavor which Mr. Peter Obi was said to have popularized while the Ogas belonged to the Anglican faith, Soludo, Oziogbo, and Nwakpo belong to the Populous Catholic denomination. And the fact that Nwakpo was a Samaritan brings a new dimension to the calculations. Speaking at the Thanksgiving service in his Ameshi community, Oziogbo, the PDP candidate, said holding the Thanksgiving in Ameshi for his victory at the straw poll is symbolic, as it is the place where everything began for me. As things stand now, the Anambra electorate has the opportunity to decide what consideration should inform the emergence of the next governor that would indeed turn out as the ultimate zoning within the zone.